My name is Lisa McCoy, and I'm a family consumer science educator for the University of Maryland Extension. And today we're going to talk a little bit about stress and anxiety and how to manage that better. So one of the problems that many people have had during this COVID pandemic is that we have a lot more stress and anxiety. We have a lot of changes that have happened in our lifestyle, in our work schedules and things. And so it's led to a lot more stress in our homes and in our personal lives, having children at home, trying to educate them, as well as trying to maintain maybe teleworking. So it can be very stressful, and I think things are improving, but still that stress level is going to remain with us for many, many months to come, I'm afraid. So I want to talk a little bit about what exactly is stress, how does it happen, what's the stress response, and then what are some things that you can do to manage it better. So let's first talk about exactly stress. What is it? What happens and how does it occur? So your stress actually is an automatic response that we have that comes from our brain. And I'm going to show you two different parts of the brain. So if we use this as an example of our brain, all right, the thumb is actually what we call the amygdala. The amygdala is at the base of our brain, and that is actually our primal area where we do most of our processing of our emotions. And that's where that fight or flight response comes from, is from that amygdala. Now, overseeing the amygdala at the top front of our brain is our prefrontal cortex. And that prefrontal cortex actually is where we process more of our thinking brain, our problem solving, judgment making, our compassion, okay? So usually that's more in control of our day-to-day operations. And so it overrides the amygdala. However, when there is a stressor that occurs, whether it's real or imagined, that stress response, that amygdala can get activated. And so what it does is it activates what we call the sympathetic nervous system. And when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, it just flips the lid of that prefrontal cortex and takes action because it needs to get out there. So think about if you are being chased by a lion. Well, your sympathetic nervous system is going to click in. You're going to be moving faster, running faster than you've ever run before to get away from that lion. And that is kind of like putting on the gas, okay? We think about the sympathetic nervous system is our gas that keeps us going, taking action quickly. It increases our heart rate, increases our blood levels. It increases us, our blood pressure. It keeps us moving, whatever we need to get away from that stressor. So what we need sometimes after we have that stress is we usually will come right back down. We have that stress, it occurs, and then it's back to normal. However, sometimes we get stuck in that chronic stress, and that's the problem that we have. When we have maybe it's real or it's an imagined stress, and it just lingers forever and ever. So we're at that other stress level, and we need to figure out how do we override that sympathetic nervous system. And one of the ways that we can do it is using the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the brakes, all right? And that parasympathetic nervous system is found in such mindful techniques that we'll talk about later on. So just trying to control things better and using our minds to help slow things down. So one of the outputs from that fight or flight response is cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And that actually is good when it's really a time of stress and the levels go up and then they come right back down. However, if we have that stress and it doesn't go away for weeks on end and it maintains at a high level, that chronic stress can lead to elevated levels of cortisol over a long period of time, which can really affect our health. So some of the things that happen with those increased cortisol levels over time is that it can cause increased inflammation within our cells, which can cause other chronic health problems. It also causes us to have a decreased response to to viruses and things. That our immune system becomes compromised. We're more susceptible to viruses, colds, flus, whatever. And we also find that it triggers spikes in our blood sugar. So we're not controlling our blood sugars as well. And this is particularly important if someone has diabetes and they need to maintain that blood sugar level. But when they're stressed, it goes up. And that can be a problem of high blood sugars. And the other problem that we may have heard associated with cortisol is the increased deposit of fat cells. So we do associate increased cortisol levels with obesity sometimes. And what happens is when we're digesting food and we have those elevated cortisol levels, some of those calories are actually more of those calories are being deposited as fat than would normally be if you were not having that cortisol as high. So there are some things you can do to avoid getting stuck in that chronic stress, or just helping to manage that stress and anxiety that you've been feeling over the past several weeks. One is to try to limit or eliminate the stressor. So that could be that you're going to just either eliminate, let's use the example of the pandemic, that you're going to just eliminate. You can't eliminate the pandemic, unfortunately. We wish we could, but we can't. So you may want to just limit your exposure to news about that. So limit how often you watch TV, watch the news, read the newspaper, your exposure to social media that has it on. So limit that exposure so you're not overwhelmed with it 24/7. If you can eliminate a stressor, that's great, but that usually is not a problem, not something that's a likely result that we can do. Another one is just to kind of maintain that daily routine, especially now that our lifestyles are kind of been upended and we are home more often, our children are home. It's hard to kind of keep that daily routine going. So the more you can have things as normal as possible, getting up at the same time that you did when you worked, getting dressed, and doing all things that you normally would do, having regular meals really helps to keep that stress level lower and helps to manage that better. Don't forget to be active. That's really an important part of managing stress, is being active. Going outside, having that connection with nature is really important to help you to just have more relaxation and feel more relaxed. Also, sleeping is really important. Getting enough sleep helps to recharge your battery. So if you're not getting enough sleep, and that is a problem too for people during this time of stress with the coronavirus, is people are not sleeping as well. So if you can get enough sleep, because that's really important to help your brain recharge and your whole body to recharge. If you need to still connect with family and friends. This is a problem for many people, are having problems with feeling socially isolated because they were not able to go out of their homes, or they're afraid to go out of the homes now. So trying to connect with family and friends, whether it is with telephone or by FaceTime or even a Zoom chat, anything you can do to just connect and keep that connection with family and friends will help you to lower your stress levels as well. And use some kinds of types of expressive meditation. Now, you may think that term like, I don't meditate, that's not something for me. Well, let me just explain what expressive meditation, there's some different ways of doing expressive meditation that you may be doing already. One is journaling. If you write in a journal, maybe just write what your feelings are, or even write like a gratitude journal of what you're grateful for every day. What we find is the studies have shown that when you actually write down something and express it, you become more aware of those feelings, and then it helps you to relax. So you'd be surprised how much that journaling and just writing it down will really help you to handle and manage the stress and anxiety. Another way to use expressive meditation is dancing. Yes, dancing helps to break up that tension that you have from that stress. So dancing is great. Put your favorite music on, really upbeat, and just dance around and have a good time. Find something relaxing to do. What are your hobbies that you like to do that really relax you? Take time for yourself to do those, whether it's reading, whether it is knitting or gardening. Take some time for yourself to do that relaxation hobbies that you enjoy. And meditation is another way to do that. So meditation, uh, there's lots of different methods. You can do mindful breathing. You could do expressive meditation relaxation scans, or you can even do guided imagery. And there's a lot of different YouTubes out there on the that will walk you through those meditation exercises. So if that's something that think might be helpful, try those. I can tell you that it will be a little bit difficult at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with that. And then it becomes a routine in your daily routine. So that's good. It just becomes a part of your day. Now, I will mention that if you are feeling sad or depressed, and it doesn't go away, it lingers for more than a few days, it would be a good idea to talk to your healthcare provider or a mental health professional to see if you need any further help, because we don't want people to have that prolonged feeling of sadness and depression continuously. So if you're feeling that way, please make sure that you're seeking out some help from a professional. Well, thank you very much, and I hope that you stay well and you stay safe.